Hi everyone, George here, coming from London. Today is a bit gloomy, but that won't stop me from sharing my story and the mistakes I did as a new manager. So a little bit about myself. I started my journey in tech as a developer. I was very much focused on delivery, and I didn't want to do anything that whatever managers were doing. So I was very focused on technology and working on stories and tickets. Um, During my career, I started taking more ownership of work, showing more initiative, and I stepped up to other challenges. And I was doing a lot of mentoring on other colleagues inside work and also outside. I helped a few people transition into tech from jobs outside of tech. And I very much enjoyed learning from each other. But there was a point where I felt like I needed more, and I was very much interested in people and helping them grow. And I want to transition into leadership. And I was chasing this for 3 years. It wasn't an easy journey. And from my experience, it's easier if you can do it from a company you're already at. So it's much more difficult to go in an interview and convince them that you will be successful as a new manager. You could be, but it's not easy to get that opportunity. So my advice would be try to get that progression within your current company if there is an opening. So once I got that opportunity and I got that role, I was like, is this real? Is this really happening? So yeah, I was very eager to get started. I was very eager to get involved with my new responsibilities. So in this video, I will be approaching it from an engineering manager perspective, and also from someone who was previously doing coding and was hands-on with delivery. And I did quite a few mistakes. Some of them I avoided, mostly because other people told me that you're going to make a mistake here. And thanks to my mentors and thanks to everyone who supported me in this journey. So I will be sharing the top 10 today with you. And after that, I will share some tips with you. I will put a few links in the description below so you can follow some people who are big on in the industry and constantly share advice on this topic. So without further ado, the first one and the most difficult one for me was not deciding how hands-on I wanted to be. So in leadership, you don't have a tangible outcome the same way as you have in coding. So it's difficult to get that feeling that you accomplished something, that you did something, and all you can do is write about it in a report at the end of the week or at the end of the month, or you can share it with your manager, but it's not as tangible. Whereas with coding, you close a story, you deploy something, you fix something, you create something new, that's tangible. In leadership, it's not the same because a lot of the things that you're doing are long-term and they take time. So it was difficult to accept that I cannot do well at both. So initially, I wanted to have a 50% split doing coding, 50% split helping the team grow and helping the company as well. But I soon realized that I was becoming so busy that split wasn't healthy for me. And then I switched it to 80% focused on the people side, and then eventually fully on the people side and solving issues in the organization outside the team. In some cases, the company will be clear and say, we want you to be 50% focused on coding, but keep in mind that you might not do well at both. If you want to do a really great job, you should focus on one thing and one thing only. Don't expect to be good at long-term thinking. Um, give yourself a break because you just switched on from something that was delivery focused to something that's not tangible. Don't expect it to be easy. There might be some insecurity coming from your side, or other people will tell you things that will make you feel insecure. For example, your team could reject you, whether it's a new company you're joining or whether you start managing a team you were already part of. Your team could reject you for whatever reason. Someone might not agree with a decision. Someone might not agree with how hands-on you will be, or they won't agree with your opinions and your views. And I know companies take that very seriously. So I would say take it easy. Make sure that you get on with people. You make sure that you understand their interests. Another one is if you start struggling in your new role with your new responsibilities, you might think that your manager will think it was a mistake for promoting you. Don't be so hard on yourself on this one, because your manager or whoever promoted you saw something in you. They saw some potential and they wanted to give you that opportunity, that growth. You should definitely use your one-on-ones to get support from your manager and get whatever support your company is offering. Maybe it's a course, it's a seminar, or whatever. Make sure you enroll into that. There might be some new things for you to learn there. The other thing is people expectations. For whatever reason, people expect you outside of your team to do a number of things. Could be triaging tickets, could be planning the work, could be you expecting to know everything. That's not realistic, right? So they might even set unrealistic deadlines to you. So you will have a lot of conflict, a lot of competing priorities that was not visible to you before. So that would be a new area for you to deal with. Or someone could go directly to your team members asking for work to be delivered, but that could disrupt other priorities in the team that was agreed in the sprint. So you will have to deal with all of these things, and you will have to get better at it quickly, because your team will rely on you providing that protection for them, just like your manager was doing previously. Uh, don't escalate people's complaint to your manager. So it's your job now to deal with those complaints. In some cases, you will have to. For example, if someone is thinking of leaving and you want to get some ideas on what you can do to keep them, in most cases, you will be expected to find solutions to those complaints, and you will have to deal them on your own. That doesn't mean you shouldn't involve the right people. Maybe it's talking with someone about it, but you're responsible for that person. You're responsible for providing a resolution. You might feel this is not for you and you want to go back. So in some cases, people end up going back to individual contributor. And in some cases, it's just a crisis. It lasts for a few weeks. You might have it more than once. I had it multiple times, but it's definitely worth trying to calm down, think about it, think about why you transitioned into that role, what was the reason. Talk about this with your manager openly. You don't have to necessarily say, I want to go back, but you could explain what the thing is that's making you feel uncomfortable. It could be that you're very busy, or you need some support in a specific area, or there is something new that you don't know how to handle. So talk about it, or maybe just take some time off. This will help clear your head and go back fresh. Not taking any time off. So if you expect your engineers to not burn out and have a healthy work-life balance, you should do that yourself as well, because you're the manager. Yes, you have a lot of responsibility now, but that doesn't mean you will be of any use if you burn yourself out. So definitely make sure you take some time off. What I like doing is when I was going away, I nominated someone in my team to act on my behalf. So that gives them a good opportunity to see what it's like being in that role, and also gives them additional responsibility, which would help them go into the next level and potentially see for themselves if they like it or if they don't like it. Some people don't like it and they know that before you even ask them. That person might not be a good fit, but someone else might be sort of interested. So next one is avoiding difficult conversations. I'm guilty of that. At the beginning, I was trying to avoid confrontation by any means, but then I realized that conflict is a currency in this role, and I just have to deal with it. Eventually, I became better at it, and I started having those difficult conversations, whether it was managing underperformance or whether it was talking to a difficult stakeholder or trying to find a process that will allow us to work better with another team. So you're there to support your engineers. And if you don't tell them how they can improve and they rely on you for that feedback, they won't grow. they will end up leaving the company because they didn't have that progression. And if they're not motivated, they won't deliver for the company. They won't do a good job, and then they will affect the rest of the team as well because other people will notice. So it's very important that you are clear about that and you approach it in a nice, soft way and try to understand what the reason is for that. Imagine going into end of year performance review and the person hears that they're not going to get a bonus or they won't get a salary increase or promotion. They might expect that because you didn't tell them anything was wrong during the year. So it's very important to manage those expectations and help them improve. Don't make it a surprise. Next one is being overwhelmed and postponing learning about important company policies. Some companies have very formal policies about sick leave or managing underperformance, or make sure you familiarize yourself with that. Even as a new manager, you're expected to be following those processes and those policies to the letter. And I'm sure the people team will provide support if you have any questions. Usually they can offer some training or learning material that you have to go through. So make sure you prioritize that. Because next one is definitely, and I mean definitely, don't abuse your power. Don't think that rules don't apply to you now because you're the manager. In some cases, you will have to make decisions, yes, but that's very different than abusing your power. Next one, and it's the final on my list, but it's not least important. Make sure that you ask for support from or help from your from your manager. That's especially important because there will be a lot of cases that your learning material or your mentor didn't cover before you stepped into that role. And it's a situation where you always learn something new. Yes, there are some tactics that can help, but definitely make sure that you ask help when you need it. Otherwise, you will burn yourself out or you will feel isolated and miserable. The worst thing that can happen is that you will end up hating this new role and that you will end up going back or leaving the company. But make sure that you have all the support that you need so you can be successful. That brings me on to some tips that I want to share with you. Before you even step into the new role, make sure that you try and get a good explanation from the company on what the responsibilities are going to be, what the expectations are. And once you get the role, make sure that you learn about your people, learn about their interests. If you worked with them previously, there's a good chance that you already know a lot of things about them. For me, it's important to know people's interests so that I can know how to motivate them, how to keep them engaged with work. It could be a case of you giving them work that is relevant more to their interests, depending on how the team works. The next one is ask from your manager to set your goals early on. That will give you good focus on what is the right thing to be doing. And there will be a lot of noise initially. As I said, people will have different expectations from you. But if your goals are clear, then you will know what you need to focus on and spend your energy on the right things. You should be creating a safe environment for your people. People should be able to share their opinion on some technical conversation or some conversation that's affecting the team or something that you want to do. Definitely foster that safe environment so that people feel okay talking about their opinion. The worst thing that can happen is that you are managing a team where no one shares their opinion, and then at the end, when a decision is made, people are not happy with it. So people need to be on board, and in some cases, you will have to do the consensus approach where everybody has to agree on that, but that won't always be feasible. Remember, now you're a leader, and in some cases, consensus isn't possible. So you will have to decide, and then you will have to make sure that people are okay implementing that or going with that approach. I would also say make sure that you set your goals early on for your team. The important thing to remember about goals is that you can encourage good and professional behavior. So if it's in their goals and if your company values also support that, then that helps creating a nice environment to be in, a nice environment to work. And in some cases, you can also use the goals as a way to create a high performing culture. Next one, don't call them resources. I am guilty of that I was doing it in the past. I was referring to people as resources, especially in capacity planning or in roadmap sessions. The truth is they are humans, right? They're people. So call them people. It's very easy to do. They're not objects. They're not things. They're humans. So make sure you don't call them resources. It will be very important for you to stay organized. This will help you massively because you will be suddenly doing a lot of new things. You will be exposed to things that you weren't doing before. For me, what helped me is when I get an email, for example, I might not be able to respond immediately, or I might need to look into something before responding or get information from someone else. Because remember, you don't know everything. You're not the expert on everything. So it's okay to reach out for people for information. But there is a fine line here. Don't make your work other people's work. So try to do your investigation as well. So you can flag messages to follow up later. And not everything is urgent. If everything is urgent, nothing is urgent, right? And next one is use your one-on-ones effectively with your team and with your manager. This is your opportunity to provide feedback, get feedback, and hopefully it's constructive feedback. Otherwise, it's of no use. Another one, I would say find a mentor. You probably had a mentor or a few people helping you transition into that role, and you were talking about scenarios and how they would handle it, how you would handle it, and find that right balance of how you should be dealing with that. It definitely helps keeping that mentor, and in some cases, it can even end up in therapy, right? You need someone just to talk because you were overwhelmed that day at work. Every little thing matters. And if you don't deal with it, it ends up being a mountain. And then that's psychologically difficult for you to deal with. So make sure that you have someone to talk to about those things. And you don't have to say people's names or give specifics about situations. Or remember that's confidential. Talk about it in a vague way, in a general way, but still get it out of your system and get someone else's view on that. I think it's very important to decide your leadership style early on, and you will have to adjust it as needed. Not every person wants to be managed the same way. Yes, you should be going with a leadership style that matches your values, your views, the company's values, and is good for your team to help them be productive. But in some cases, you will have to adjust it because circumstances are different. The context is different. And last one, I would say it's very important to do your own retro, and that takes time. And it's difficult because you have to dig deep inside you to learn from your failures. But it's very important. It will help you a lot in your career. It will allow you to understand how to do better. And it's not the retro that your team does, it's about you understanding how you handled a certain situation, what you could have done better. Maybe talking about it with your mentor will help you see a different point of view, and then you will know what to do in the future to handle it better. All right, so these were all my tips. Hopefully there were some useful stuff for you here. Some people I think you should follow. These are by no means an exhaustive list. It's just some learning resources that I found online and some good people that are very active in the community and constantly post information. The lead dev, they often have events, seminars, videos on YouTube. You can network with other people in the industry, so definitely recommend that. Mary Williams, also known as the Geek Manager, ex-CTO of Monzo. I think you probably know that already. Monzo is very big on culture. There are some really good learnings from Mary, so definitely check her out. Patrick Gua, ex-ThoughtWorks, now CTO, and helping big companies with transitions and with creating departments and with good culture. So definitely check out Patrick's material. Last but not least, a person that I recently came across to and I already subscribed to his newsletter is called Kirk. So Kirk was previously a lead at Uber. He was leading the mobile teams and he has a ton of useful information about his learnings. And now some of these are not even written in books. It's his research, it's his reach to the community, and there is a lot of useful material on his blog and on his newsletter. So if you can afford it, I definitely recommend subscribing to that. There are some free material as well, so definitely check it out. Thank you, everyone. It was great having you here, and thanks for listening. I hope you found some useful material. Make sure to subscribe on this channel and give a like on the video so that other people can find it too. Make sure you share it with your network. I'm not very consistent in sharing videos or material, but I will try to do a few talks next year. Until next time, see you.